Aho. Minaw ka, Jeb. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 9:09 a.m. And before we start the meeting, I would like to turn the meeting over to our spiritual advisor so he can give us the invocation. Thank you. Shima Gutchburn. All right, up next, we got the roll call.
Ranger,
Oma, here.
Taragisha. Here. Perry Drift.
Ashkibanas ninsa ma papaya. Here.
Next, we got the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions?
I have one addition. I had a request this morning from Donna Hoffer to be added to the agenda to present a letter to council.
Do we have a copy of it?
I have a copy of it. She does have copies prepared to give to council.
Okay. Any objections from council? If not, where do you want to place her?
We could place her
Under you?
after me. Yeah.
After you?
I'd also like to add one more thing to the agenda, and that would be a motion to censure District 1 Representative Perry Drift.
Robert would like to add a censorship to the meeting agenda of censoring District 1 Representative Perry Drift. We will put that, we'll leave that last.
Where's the petition?
Huh?
Where's the petition? Does he have 20% signatures of the band membership that reside on the res? That's for TEC members. That has nothing to do with Article X. The only way you can remove me is Article X of the MCT Constitution. Where's the evidence? Where's the proof?
Jeff, can you respond to that?
Robert, is your motion to censure a petition for removal or just a motion to censure?
It was just a motion to censure, and I could go into more detail, but I was thinking it just has to wait on the agenda and for us to take care of the other business first. So there was no words of removal in there whatsoever.
Okay, so it's not a petition to remove. It's just a generalized motion to censure. We can, if you want to go into details at that agenda item, if there's legal questions, I'm happy to weigh in. I don't know if you want to do that now or you want to wait till you present it so there's more details.
I wasn't provided with any documents. This is my first time hearing of this. How is this legal?
Jeff?
So, right now, the RTC, the agenda item we're at is to add or delete to the agenda. So we can add or delete agenda items. If for any items, whether it's Donna's or whether it's the censure, I would recommend that if there is documentation that all the RTC members do have it. So if there's something, any documentation attached to Roberts that's related to it, then he can provide that to everyone. If there's not documentation, it's just an oral motion, you can still make that motion when it comes time if you've added it to the agenda.
So what course of action do we take then, Jeff?
Well, right now, I think Roberts added an item to the agenda, so you would vote to add that item to the agenda. If you vote to approve that, it's added, and then it comes up as a discussion whenever you've added it to the agenda.
Okay, so we add it to the agenda.
I would like that added to the first of the agenda.
What was that? I didn't catch that.
I would like that to be discussed first before we start anything because if I end up getting censored and I can't speak, I don't want to sit through a meeting where I can't say nothing.
Jeff, can we get a full description of what a censure entails?
So a censure, a censure at the RTC level that doesn't involve a petition under Article 10 of the MCT Constitution is just an inherent authority censure. So that would be basically a public admonishment of actions. That's how historically censures by the RTC have occurred. That's separate and distinct from a petition for removal. So it would basically just be a vote to censure conduct, whatever it might be, made in a motion. It's voted on by the RTC. It doesn't carry with it direct remedies or penalties, like, you know, not being able to speak at a meeting, or it doesn't impact a current sitting RTC member's official duties and roles. It's essentially just a public statement of, you know, related to conduct. That's what an RTC based censure historically has been, separate from a petition for removal.
So we're kind of stuck at a standstill here. Robert wants to add the motion or add it to the agenda. Perry says he wants to hear it first.
I don't mind just voting. We can just vote on it right now. Just get it over with.
Let me say something, Kathy, before you start. We can add this to the agenda and leave it at that. We can put it at the front, we can put it at the back, whatever it is. It doesn't matter to me. But please just, let's get this going, put it on there. It's not for removal. We don't have anything attached, right? When you explained that this morning, you were given a chance to meet with us. Robert texted all of us at 7:30 this morning saying wanting to meet about the censure. You didn't show up. We waited there till.
I'm battling a cold. I couldn't make it in time. You could tell I'm sick right now. I barely got up and got out of bed this morning.
Okay, I didn't know that. But we waited there till 8:50, so then we just called it and he said what he had to say and then that was it.
Yes, Kathy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Basically, Perry, what this censure is, it's just kind of considered disciplinary action. It's just like a verbal warning. And it's a public censure. So basically what they're saying is they're just kind of, the censure is not for removal. It's just kind of the council's way of applying some disciplinary action, but you still have, it's just a slap on the hand. You still have the right to attend meetings. You still have the right to do your job. But it's just a public acknowledgement that whatever was mentioned about the behavior or whatever, but it's nothing to do, you still do your duties. You still attend meetings. You still do everything. It's just a slap on the hand. It's disciplinary, considered like disciplinary action from the council. So I hope I explained that a little better.
Yes, you did. Thank you. You have something to add, Pete? You got to turn that on.
My name is Pete Drift, Voiceword Banner and Elder. I read your article, your employee. Anywhere, nowhere does it say removal or suspension. All it says is it's a civil issue, basically what it is. And it says, if you want to do removal, return to Article 10 of the Constitution. And then by no means did Perry violate Article 10. That deals with malfeasance and misappropriation of funds, things like that. So I want you to keep that in mind. And, you know, I told Perry, yes, he made mistakes. We all make mistakes. You know, I've been a chief. I've been working in law enforcement for 23 years as a cop here. And I can tell you everyone here has made mistakes. If you can show me a person here that is perfect, I'd like to shake his or her hand. Realistically, no one's perfect. But I just want you to keep that in mind and, you know who your friends are. Know who your friends are.
Thank you. Jeff, can you get clarification on that? Because if we're doing something on Article 10 of the MCT Constitution, we need to get clarification if that applies to the tribal council members as district representatives, or does that just apply to the secretary treasurer and chairman?
Well, there are two processes under Article 10 that can result in removal and recall. The petition that has been referenced, like the 20% petition, that's Article 10 is the only process for removal or recall of an RTC member, right? That's the process for the MCT band. A petition can be filed with the RTC for recall or removal. That is the process for recall or removal of any RTC member. It couldn't be anyone. There's a separate process that involves the TEC that could result in removal or recall of a TEC member. Those are specific to TEC members, chair and secretary treasurer. Both of them are under Article 10 and the ordinance implementing that at the MCT level. So there are two separate processes. But the petition process with the 20% signature requirement could apply to any RTC member, and there's a whole, designated process and under MCT law for how that process works.
So basically, we can proceed forth, and is what you're saying.
Well, you can proceed forth with this meeting, sure. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. It doesn't sound like anything that Robert's adding to the agenda has anything to do with recall or removal. It's a generalized RTC censure that won't impact Perry's day-to-day if it's adopted, which it hasn't been adopted yet, but if it is, it wouldn't impact day-to-day duties and responsibilities. It wouldn't impact his responsibility as an RTC member, his authorities as an RTC member. It would be a public reprimand.
Vanessa?
Vanessa Little, I just wanted to point out that, not the MCT, but the Boys Fort bylaws under Article 2, duties of the members of the Boys Fort Reservation Tribal Council, Section 1. All members of the Boys Fort Reservation Tribal Council shall A, act at all times in the public interest and protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the whole band. So it's not only malfeasance.
Did you get that, Jeff?
Yep, I heard it.
Can you provide your evidence can you step back to the podium and provide your evidence of what's not, and where is this information? Like, let's just discuss this. Come on, let's just get it over with.
Okay, I didn't make any accusations. I just read the bylaws from a section from the bylaws.
But you said it's not just malfeasance. Where's your evidence? Show what's.
I just said it's the whole, it doesn't say.
No, but you made a statement. You said it's not just malfeasance.
I said act at all times in public interest and protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the whole band. That doesn't mean just malfeasance.
Yeah, but you're referring to this incident on April 11th. Why don't you talk about it?
I didn't say anything about April 11th. I didn't say anything about an incident at all. All I said was that there is a section in the bylaws that says the general welfare and health of the band. I made no accusations.
I never embezzled money. I never did anything like that.
I didn't.
I did. It was a public embarrassment what I did. Yes, what I did.
I didn't say you did anything, Perry.
Well, don't make comments like that if you can't provide, if you can't back up.
Order, hey.
From the
order,
bylaws.
Order. I'm calling for order right now. Sit up. We need to conduct this meeting in a lawful, respectful manner. Please. No, Robert made a motion, or actually asked for an item to be added to the agenda. Jeff said it's okay to proceed forth with it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff.
Oh, that's correct.
We'll add that last. That'll be last. What I want to add to the agenda is a discussion on building an official financial reserve for Fortune Bay. This is coming from our budget meeting and our financial meeting from yesterday. The council was there and we heard information. The embarrassment of not starting a financial reserve is there. the embarrassment of not building a financial reserve will last a long time. So we need to basically shoulder that embarrassment and start building a financial reserve for our casino, an official financial reserve. And I've been pushing for this ever since I got on council. I posted it on my group page numerous times. So that's what I'm going to ask for a discussion on to be added to the agenda. We'll add that after the Eagle staff discussion. Are any more additions, deletions, or regarding the agenda?
I do. I have one. I would like to say some words to the public about my addiction to alcohol, my alcoholism, disease of alcoholism that I went and got treatment for. I would like to give the public a explanation of why I was gone for 34 days.
We can add that after the Fortune Bay Reserve. If we could add Perry's discussion. Then we can add then after that will be the censorship. Now, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move.
Moved by Perry, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Now we go on to the approval of the meeting minutes. We'll take a minute or two to look over April 7th, 2025. Is Kim in here? Yes. Good morning, Kim. I have some questions here for you. We are going over the meeting minutes from April 7th, 2025. And in there, we talked about discussion and follow-up on a SSBCI and Fortune Bay request for financial assistance. And in our discussions from upstairs, if I recall, what was the plan going forward? Because one plan was for us to just go ahead and pay it off. But then the discussion went to, if you could elaborate.
Okay, we have been working with Fortune Bay on the SSBCI program to set it up, and they are applying for it. And we've had discussions because of, like, we're starting our contingency planning and stuff like that. Is they could access some of it, the SSBCI fund, to do some of their projects. And then they would make loan payments. But also, as we got farther in the process since then, is that the interest rate is extremely small, and we haven't really talked about it. But on the tribal government side, right now, I have recommended to the council, and I've told Fortune Bay that we're holding, instead of taking some of our reserves or excess funds and paying that off later, that we should hold it until we get through all the unknowns from like budget cuts and everything.
So just for the people in the audience and also the people online, the original plan was to have Fortune Bay to apply for that SSBCI loan. The tribe at that time was going to pay it off after a while. But since cuts are starting to come down from the state government and the federal government, it was decided that we will just go ahead and let Fortune Bay start making those loan payments when they can't, on schedule. And then, like Kim said, that once we know where we're going to be at after these cuts, if we can pay it off, then we'll pay it off. So that's the plan going forward, just to keep you guys informed.
And that's a revolving loan fund that stays here. So as it gets paid off, we're able to make more loans, so it revolves. So it's not like, other than the cash, if we pay it off permanently, that's like, our reserve pot is, or, one of our pots is gone.
All right, thank you. My next question regarding the meeting minutes is that during that meeting, I asked for a discussion on suspension and a debarment policy. I asked to bring this policy in place for contractors on the tribal government side and band members side that are funded through RTC programs. So like if an elder has a roof that needs to be done and they're paid through a tribal government program, that if the contractor doesn't fulfill their duties, they would be debarred from working for the tribal government programs. Now, my question is that, do we know where we're at with that? Has that policy been started?
We've had some discussions on it, but we haven't had an official meeting yet.
I think we need to put a timeline on this and get this in place because it's starting to come summer and construction projects are going to start up, and we need to get this in place for not only the tribal government, but for our band members as well.
Yep.
So if we can put a timeline on this, is when we can get this established, get feedback from the community, get this in place. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or discussions on the April 7th, 2025 meeting minutes? If not, I ask for a motion to approve.
Move.
Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kara. All in favor, say aye.
Neen.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next is the May 7th, 2025 meeting minutes. Any questions or comments or discussions on meeting minutes from May 7th, 2025?
I would like to add that I did address my FMLA leave about the article when it was asked if Perry's leave was paid or unleave. I did address that I utilized family medical leave of absence for when I was gone. And I had the paperwork and medical documents to prove it, but legally I don't have to really disclose any of this, but I'm a transparent person, so I just want to put that out there.
Thank you, Perry. Any other discussions or comments or questions from council? If not, ask for a motion to approve the May 7th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Move.
Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye.
Neen.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next is the May 9th, 2025 meeting minutes. Any questions, comments, or discussions from council on the May 9th, 2025 meeting minutes? If no questions, comments, or discussions from council, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Tara, second by Robert. All in favor, say aye.
Neen.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next is the consent agenda. Miranda?
One item on the consent agenda. That was the change order number 1 with Tanksco for the Vermilion Water Tower Improvements. The vote was 3-0-0.
Any questions or discussions or comments from council on the consent agenda? If no questions or discussions or comments, is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Perry, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next, we got Carol Burr.
Good morning. I'm here to present or ask for approval to sit on 2 different boards. One is with the Iron Range area, and it's Iron Range Economic Alliance. The other one is with Greater Minnesota Housing Board. They both have voted for me to be on their board unanimously. The Iron Range Economic Alliance will keep us kind of posted on what the senators are doing in the area. We have like 8 of them scheduled to meet with us in September. And then it's kind of helps move them in the right direction or recommend moving them in the right direction for us. So be a part of that board. And they meet 4 times a year. The Greater Minnesota Housing Board, they want to put me on the policy and changes committee so I can help with that. And they work real close with legislation on housing issues. So I would be front line with that.
My first question right off the bat is that this would not impede your work for the band?
No, I
No.
think it would help.
Would help?
Yep, it would gain more information that I can provide to the band.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or discussions from council? Do we want to do this in a blanket purchase order? Thinking about purchase orders, your blanket motion. All right, we'll ask for a blanket motion to approve Carol Burr to serve on the Iron Range Economic Alliance and also the Greater Minnesota Housing Board. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Tara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Up next, we got Christine Lundemo. She here? What's that?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. You have the floor.
Okay, I'm here for approval for a budget revision for our Head Start and Early Head Start grant from fiscal year 2024. And it will be a revision to carry over funds into fiscal year 25.
Now, with that, is there any concerns from accounting? Do I have accounting here? Let's she go again. Oh, Miranda, you just, she's in a software meeting. That's the new software that's being implemented in the,
Shane?
um, was this presented to Jeff?
When I originally did the budget carryover, this is
Just the budget
when, this is when all this was going on with Trump letting go of federal staff that were in their 90 days. We had a program specialist that was in that mix and she got let go. Her guidance on me was to do a carryover, but then when I got a new program specialist, her name is Jania Bryant. She's the one that said that a revision had to get done before the carryover could take place. This is just to carry over approximately $26,000 so we don't lose those funds.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions or comments or discussions from council? If not, ask for a motion to approve the 2024 budget revision and FY budget carryover. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Perry, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next is Doris Isham. You have the floor.
Good morning. I have this morning for your consideration a resolution that will allow the hiring of or contracting with SRF to do a grant application to the Safe Streets and All for All program. And this would be under their master contract that they have with us already. And what the project is to construct turn lanes on the Boys Ford Road at Vermilion, as well as aligning the Farm Point Road with the government complex driveway. The designs have not been made for that, and so what we will look at is the different options and possibilities for that alignment. And so the grant is due on June 25th. And we'd like to approve this work order that would allow them to start the preliminary designs and grant writing for the project. The fund that to pay for this project is the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund, and in the amount of $16,750.
Any concerns from legal on this?
No concerns. I worked with Doris to prepare the resolution and coordinate kind of all the funding piece as well. So no concerns on my end.
Thank you, Jeff. Any concerns from accounting? No concerns? Any discussions or questions or comments from tribal council?
Just like to say that, this would just line up two roads on a reservation, make it more or less like a four corners and just maybe make it a little bit safer. you know, I really like this idea and I'm glad Doris is bringing this forward and I'd like to make a motion to move on this resolution.
Thank you, Robert. There's a motion by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we got Amber, Harman, Jennalee Porter, and Marissa Rose.
Good morning, everyone. We're Amber, Jennalee, and myself are here representing the Boys for Food Sovereignty Program. We are coming here today to ask for the approval of a year-round greenhouse in Net Lake here. We had very great guidance from our team, Dan Rabideau, Terry Morrison, and Jim Bartle, and we've been planning it for quite a while now. In the summer we have for the food sovereignty program, we're asking for approval of the construction and bid choices for a year-round greenhouse. Request approval for Dan Rabideau to work with Jeff Holt on contracts and authorize Dan to execute the contracts.
Have any concerns with this one, Jeff?
Nope, no concerns on my end.
How
I have
about,
one question.
oh, go ahead, Tara.
Does it fall within the CEO's level of authority to approve?
I'll have Dan come up here for that. I don't want to speak on his.
Dan?
No, no, it currently exceeds it. Therefore, I asked them to be put on the agenda so that you can review the information. And if you're comfortable with then authorizing me to extend my authority to execute these contracts above what I have, this was an opportunity for them to share the information with you so that you could ask questions. And if you're comfortable, then authorize me to be able to execute those documents as we go forward. So no, it currently exceeds my authority. So I asked them to present it to you.
Jeff, do you have any concerns with Dan Rabideau executing those contracts like that, the way you stated?
No, the only thing that we'd want is just if there's any, exceeding for a particular contract of current delegations, that we just have council authorization to do that. So if you vote on it, making sure that the motion, and I think as Marissa presented it, includes the delegation to Dan to execute those contracts. And if we have that in the minutes and on the record, then that would be the delegation to be able to do it. If you didn't do that, it would just mean that the contracts would then have to come back to the council, because that's where the current delegation would fall.
And as always, before you do anything, you notify the council and let us know what's going on and keep us updated. Any other questions from council, discussions or comments?
Where would the food all go? Would it be both communities or how is that? That just my question.
So we would grow food for the EMP elder and community lunches. So there will be transportation to Vermilion. We are planning on putting a greenhouse in Vermilion, but those are kind of planning stages right now.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions or go ahead?
Yep, online comment. I thought all contracts had to go to council any amount. Do not give approval to the HHS director. And then something about also should go to food shelf.
Yes, it will go also to the food shelf. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments or discussions from council?
I have a couple of comments. That's why I asked that, because it seems like, I know we want to hurry things along. But giving authority to directors, increasing that amount, we gave you an amount. And that's what we are comfortable with, but we're slowly eroding, the authority here. And I don't want that to happen. So if you could get that done quicker, sign off on it. You sign off on it and then bring it to us. In a poll or something, because you having the authority to exceed the amount that we've given you for, authorization for everything, and now signing contracts on behalf of the band, I'm just not comfortable with it.
And I completely respect that 100%. So if the council is more comfortable with returning back, we certainly can do that. And we can do that in the form of a poll, or we can do that in, the other way. This is the transparency portion of anytime it is potentially exceeding my authority, we're bringing it back to you for this exact discussion. So not wanting to move forward with it, our request is to move forward. If you decide not to, that's okay. We'll bring it back, whatever the council is most comfortable with.
Hold on just a second. I'm not opposed to the project. I think it's absolutely wonderful. I'm opposed to the authority that you're seeking above what we gave you.
Understood.
And the process moving forward, we can expedite that. We're not going to hold anything up. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
I do believe that when the discussion came to put that on the agenda, it was in the sense of the time period. We've had this grant for a few years now. It's been a while to just get bids, and we finally got a good one for the actual structure being built. Otherwise, it's getting up to the millions for what our grant does not afford that. And so it came down to time in a timely fashion at this point. The bill needs to be up by October of 2025, October 1st. And then we have a year after that to report. So I think requesting that was just in the sense of urgency. Yeah. And if it's able to, go to a poll to you guys, or, not wait till the next RTC meeting, just in the sense that we have all these bids lined up that fit within our price. And I think a lot of the bids are good for.
New text message from Indeed.
Sorry, I'm sorry. So, that was the only reason that we really asked Dan if that's possible. I don't want it to, because Dan's been so supportive and guided us in such a good way through this, planning this project.
Diana, you have something to add?
Good morning. Donna Hoffer, band member. Along with Tara's comments regarding above and beyond or exceed the procurement policy that has been adopted, I guess I'd like to see if we're going to do it for one CEO director per the policy, why can't we do it for others? There's several of them sitting in the room now. And then I guess as a band member, we give the RTC this authority. Under the bylaws, there's more, stipulation in contracts that we give you guys the authority to do that. And I know you adopted and then passed the purchase procurement policy. And so if you're going to delegate it over and exceeding this dollar amount, whatever it is, do it across the board. That's fair for everyone. Then I would say revise your policy. And if you're going to continue to ask for exemptions with one director, do it for all of them. Or don't do it at all. Because you guys got a policy in place, and then we got to keep going, well, did they amend that, or did they delegate their authority to, someone else? That's just my suggestion.
Thank you. So with that being said, what does the council want to do? Does the council want to take that authority back and then just approve what do you want to do here with this purchase of the greenhouse and this purchase of the greenhouse?
There's a few more in there for the electrical, plumbing, concrete and groundwork, but you know, the overall price of it is 248,933.
Marissa, is this, is council also approving the different bids for each of those areas?
For the bid choices, yeah. I do have a packet here of all the other bids. There was a deadline due for bidding that Jim Bartle put out, and a few of them did not reply back. I can hand you guys those. The ones that are included in what we attached to the agenda are the ones that were the better price, for the build.
I got another question for Dan, why I wanted him to stay up here. Maybe you ladies can answer. I think it would have been easier just to have the council approve this. You're here, we should probably just do that because I'm just not comfortable authorizing you to go ahead and sign the contracts when it's supposed to be the council or the chair signing the contracts. That's a practice that's in the procurement, that is in a solid practice. So I think that's what we need to do. I'm not opposed to the project again. I really think it needs to go through. But I think we need to change the way we're doing it. And maybe you don't want to come to the council every single time. That's why you want that authority. I just don't think that we should do it that way. Try to figure out the best way. I'm thinking through poll, to get this all done or get as much done right now, releasing your authority back to the council, or we haven't even approved it. And then I'm comfortable approving it. But I need it for the chair's signature, not yours.
And I would support the amendment to withdraw the authority for me and bring it back to the council 100%.
Right. So on the agenda, we have the approval of the purchase of the greenhouse. And we have these other things that need to be approved. Is that what I'm hearing?
That could just be our error. It's our first time doing an agenda request.
Mhm.
We didn't know how detailed to make it, so we put that executive summary in here. We don't have contracts lined up, nothing like that. We just have received bids to bring through. We have not got that far. All we have was wanted to present you guys with bids of how much this will cost. We did, go through and pick out the best bids that, and especially fit within our budget with our grant money. Because we also didn't want to be asking for money elsewhere. We really want to just use our grants funding for this. And so that's all that is in here is bids. And if you guys are okay with them and with the prices, they fit in our grant, we have the money for it, budget for it, and approval of that. We have no contracts lined up, nothing like that at all lined up yet.
Okay. So questions? If not, then I ask for a motion just to approve the purchase of the greenhouse. Is there a motion?
No contractor, just approval of our bid choices if possible. The electrical, that's the 23,000. It's right on the front page of the executive summary. And the electrical would be under arch key, and that's for 23,177. And then,
There you go. That's what I'm.
okay,
Well, Jeff, did you review that?
I'm looking at it right now, and so this summary I don't have concerns about. I think it sounds like the request would just be for council to approve the bid recommendations, and then they would go back and begin the contract process and bring contracts back as needed to the council.
Okay. Any further discussions or comments or questions from council? If not, ask for a motion to approve.
Bids, is that what it was?
Bids.
I'm sorry, we made it maybe confusing.
Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. Is there, all in favor?
Need.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you.
I just have a quick question, sorry. Thank you for the approval of that, we appreciate it. And then so forthcoming, I don't know how projects work with builds. Are we gonna have to come further to you each RTC meeting? Or does the poll mean we can send it to you and you guys can take a poll on it? For contracts wise.
If you're in a hurry, then I would suggest poll. Your guidance should be coming from your supervisor or your director. You can always call accounting. But yes, if you're in a hurry, you can go ahead and put it in the poll, put your detail in, and then your executive summary of what you're requesting exactly. And always put your contractor or the bid that who you're going with and the amount. And it's good to state that these are being covered by your grant dollars, not any tribal dollars or anything like that, or if there's a match or anything like that.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Up next, we got, Whiteman Sr.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, you got the floor.
So I have 3 items here, 2 resolutions and a discussion on speed zones for Net Lake and Vermilion sectors.
Which one is it?
First of all, it's a resolution 99/2025, a retained service addendum for fiscal year 25 for the road project on Palmquist Road. It's just billing from BIA for engineering and surveying. To complete this road project I have planned next year. I'm working with that project in conjunction with the bus turnaround.
So that's resolution, that's not on the thing here, but it's on here. Is a resolution number 99-2025. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, that's what we're discussing.
Any questions or comments from council? Discussion on this?
It's just billing for engineering and surveying that road project.
And you have it in your budget to cover it, because I see, estimated cost of $15,000.
Yeah, that's what they're charging.
Okay.
In-house basically with BIA, so I didn't have to hire out different engineering company to do that. BIA did it themselves.
Okay.
Plus out on the dollar.
All right. If no questions, comments, or discussion from council, I ask for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye.
Need.
Opposed?
Silent? Motion carried. What do you got next, Brian?
Next, I have another resolution, number 100-2025, control schedule transportation improvement plan. This is our Public Works is funding for the next 3 years for upcoming road projects, which should have been emailed in your agenda of the list of projects upcoming that I want to get finished for the band. And it's from 2025 to 2028.
Oh, I see a total amount of $862,327.
Yes, it varies. It varies depending on what I have listed here, estimated wise.
Okay,
So I was just in Bemidji with Kurt last week and that's what we were going over. He's the head of engineering for BIA. He's a supervisor over there, so.
Kim?
Brian's relatively new in his position, so I thought I would come up and explain. We used to historically refer to it as the tip. Yep. They have two new letters in front of it, so I don't got that acronym yet. But to work on a project that you want to do, that's going to be funded from the Federal Highway Administration funds that flow through the BIA, it has to be listed on the tip.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they gave us the money yet. And it's self-governance, it moves. And so it needs to be listed, and it doesn't mean that's what we're gonna get either, but he can accumulate that money and he can keep those projects on the tip. And he can accumulate money to accomplish a project, and it doesn't have to be specifically, like if it has $100,000 for project A, 200,000 for B,
Yeah.
he can move. Part of the nice thing about the self-governance is he can move that money to be flexible to meet those needs and priorities of the council of project needs.
Any other questions or concerns or discussion from council? If not, ask for a motion to approve.
Move.
Moved by Perry, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kara, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mean.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Up next again, Brian Whiteman. Discussion on speed zones on Nut Lake and Vermilion sectors.
Yes, this has been going on for a couple months now, and it concerns the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit by Public Works going into the village to the 30. Previously, it was 55 all the way to the 30s, but with MnDOT in St. Louis County mentions here, Bois Fort's authority through federal law does not require MnDOT speed zone operations to post and enforce speed limits on the reservation land because of our sovereignty, I guess, that's how I understood it. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is to let you know that for your permission, we can put a 40 by Public Works all the way to the 30 in that lake. And also on the Vermilion sector, Public Works wanted to initiate a 40-mile-an-hour sign from the res sign all the way to Eagle Point. Same difference as here, Yeah,
From one end to the other then.
yes, for 40 miles an hour through West Duffy all the way to Eagle, like on the Vermilion sector.
Okay, Kathy?
Yeah, back in the 1980s, when everybody was very young or not born, the injury prevention program through IHS here at Bois Forte established those speed limits as part of the injury prevention program. So the 40-mile-an-hour is actually, I think, in the minutes from the 80s, establishing that 40-hour speed limit because no shoulders and, maybe kids on the road or whatever. So it was a safety measure to do that. Now, you may want to look also at establishing your own speed zones in Vermilion because a lot has changed since the 80s. So I just wanted to give you that information, kind of where that started from with the speed zones. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions or discussions from council on us?
No, but the only thing I'd like to say is 40 mile an hour from the beginning to the end actually sounds good to me. I would just like to make sure, that we get this out to the people as good as possible to make sure we don't have them getting pulled over all the time, I look at it, I see you over there.
It is,
and I'd like to just mention, it was brought up to me by a band member, some of the back roads people are driving a little excessively over the speed, and I would like to look at more maybe speed bumps or more actual see these guys out there watching those back streets too, and or, more routinely, uh, just out there and about to slow people down because people are concerned for their children, other people's children, and that's my only spiel for that. Thanks though.
Also to mention that St. Louis County will put up the speed zone signs, on them. So they were gladly to do that just to help the band.
That was gonna be my question, Brian. St. Louis County will put up the signs?
Yes, upon notification.
So they will be bigger than the little 40-mile-per-hour sign we
yeah.
had? Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a comment to Corey back there and say, are you like that cop on Thunderheart?
Yeah.
Just kidding, Corey. So you want us to take action on this?
Yes, so I could let Big Blund of St. Louis County and MnDOT.
Any concerns from legal on this?
Nope, no concerns on my end.
Was I too fast for you, Jeff?
Nope, I'm here ready to go.
All right, and if there's no further questions or discussions from council, ask for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Moved by Robert, is there a second? Second by Tara, all in favor, say aye.
Need.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried, thank you.
Cool, thanks for your time.
Quick comment. When you have that established and you get the signs up and everything, and make sure that you make note of what date those signs came up. And then that the public knows, even though they'll see it passing by,
Imagine
but
I'd
this
put it
is
in.
new,
Imagine I put it in the Voice Work News too also,
right? All avenues just to try to make everybody
Yeah.
aware.
Yes.
Morning. So just so you're aware, I'll work with St. Louis County. They have message boards, like the big construction message boards that we can use for free. And we'll also put those out when the signs go up, just to advise everyone. As far as enforcement goes, we're going to be pretty lenient. We may stop them, but as far as tickets, unless it's egregious, we'll probably not issue tickets for a little bit of time. So you're aware. Joshua Cox, Lieutenant of Police. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Cool. Thank you.
Up next is Jenny Rowland with a contract and sole source with Second Harvest Northland for a food shop.
Good morning.
Morning, you got the floor.
Okay, for the Net Lake Food Shelf and soon to be Vermilion Food Shelf, we order food from only 2 locations. That's what we're allowed to do, and those foods are discounted and sometimes we get grants from those locations. So this is one of the locations that we order food from to stock the food shelves. So it is a sole source, even though there'll be 2 sole source.
You have any concerns on this one, Jeff?
No, these agreements come with a lot of pre-scripted requirements and certifications. Jenny's aware of them, so no waiver of immunity or anything though. So these are pretty standard, similar to the ones we've seen in the past. So no concerns on my end.
Okay. Any concerns from Dan Rabideau? No concerns. No concerns from accounting? Oh. Any questions or comments or discussions from council? If no questions or discussions or comments from council, is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Robert, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Perry, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you.
Awesome.
Up next, we got George Strong, Randy Long. Discussion on alternative funding sources to address Minnesota legacy funding shortfall for FY 2026 and 2027. Also, Independent School District 707 office space lease agreement for KBFT. You have the floor, guys.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
First topic we have for you is discussion on funding for KBFT, and the title was somewhat misleading. We're here to ask the tribal council, due to the uncertainty of grant funding to KBFT, to ask the tribal council to make it mandatory that all grants that Boys Fort goes after or seek after, do a quick review of that grant to see if advertising is allowed within that grant and include KBFT. Just a little bit of funding throughout all the grants that Boys Fort goes after could go a long way of supporting the services that KBFT provides to the community. I've spoken with Carol on this, and a recommendation would be to include it as a simple check mark that grant applicants have looked at and signed off stating this grant is allowable or not allowable for advertising. So.
Yes, that is a very good point. I think that, we need to do something with that because there is a shortfall coming with you guys. And from our discussions with that shortfall, you guys have the carryover to cover that. But the year after that is where we're going to be running into problems, correct?
Yes.
And I hate to think of setting a date if we don't address this now to try and head that off. Is that we may be looking at a date of when last time KBFT is going to broadcast. And with all this funding cuts that are coming down, it's troublesome, it's worrisome. And so I'm in full support of doing just that with all their grants to see if they could put something in their grants through something along the lines of, you guys don't do advertising, but underwriting. And even if some of our businesses that could do that as well, like I know that when I was there at KBFT, we had Fortune Bay, we had the Wilderness, I do believe we had a couple of underwriting from Fortune Bay, 3 of them, I think. And I think that if we get something from the health, that'd be great. Carol?
I would suggest too, George, that you send out an email to like all staff so that when they know they're applying for grants, how much it would cost for them to advertise on the radio station. That way they can plan ahead and put that in their budget.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Okay. We'll also, teams will also include that in smoke signals.
And it's not just the underwriting, just mentioning your program and stuff like that. We want to be your promotional partner. So, like our events, we can definitely get your promo materials, your brochure. You can even come to our events and get up and do a short 2-3 minute info session with the attendees. So there's plenty of opportunity to do promotion. What we're really interested in, if you already have the numbers for your programs, participation levels, and that we want to see and prove that the radio station is making an impact on your programs and participation from our listeners.
I also like to add that too. I think that it's kind of like you guys are working on increasing your broadcast, I do believe. If you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, that funding you're talking about that we have that could possibly help out with the shortfall. Originally, that's allocated. It was provided by the CPB during COVID, and it was called a stabilization fund. And they knew that there was going to be a drop in underwriting and revenue during that period, and so they wanted to get funds out there to kind of help the smaller stations and mid-sized stations to kind of weather the storm. And so, here it's a two-sided thing. Number one, because we don't have the staffing, to really get out there and do our sales. Now we do, just within the last 4 or 5 months. But beyond that, it's really been a challenge to bring people in to kind of meet our mission as far as making sales, getting out in the community, engaging with the community and that. So we've kind of circled back around to that that 718 fund, which is the CPB stabilization. And so I've kind of relied on that, and that expansion plan incorporated most of that funding. It's been earmarked for that. And there's significant costs in there associated with that. And it's probably going to utilize close to 90% of that money. And that level is at, I believe it's like 178,000. So it's a significant amount, but it's kind of like a reserve fund. So you're right. We can use it for multiple purposes. There's no restrictions on it. And so it's really nice to have that get us through these times like this year with this shortfall. So, but we want to have participation in living up to our full mission, which is engaging with the community and making sure that, you know, all of our listeners are informed and aware of all the services that you guys provide, just like we're broadcasting this meeting right now.
In regards to your transmitting question, this morning we completed the documentation needed to do so. We're going to bring the station from approximately 2,000 watts of transmitting power up to about 12,000. This is going to give KBFT a broadcast area, I would think, of no less than 25 miles as a crow flies from the water tower here in that lake, which should easily cover the Cook area.
And that was a restricting condition, not condition, but aspect of our sales and trying to get out beyond the tribal programs in the local community here, getting into Cook. A lot of the people who give us feedback like, we can't even hear you guys here, you know, but I'm like, we spend money here. So those are the kind of discussions that we have, and it would really help, or once we get this signal footprint much larger.
I think, you know, back when I worked up there, it takes a lot of door knocking, you know, and that's what I did. I'd go around to all these businesses all over and knock on their door and sit down and talk with them and get them to purchase underwriting with us, you know. And yes, we heard a lot. I heard a lot of yeses, but I also heard a lot of no's, you know, but I kept going and the struggle that you know, we faced as a radio station, and we're still facing that. You know, we got people that don't want to advertise us because they can't hear us. Well, people can hear us. They also can take advantage of the streaming. You know, we reach further out with our streaming. Also with our putting the ads on the your guys' website, Facebook page. So you're not only just getting your, that's what I would sell to them. You're not only just getting an underwriting announcement, but you're also getting this as well. So I think I'm in favor of doing that. If the council is as well, is telling our people that are writing their grants to add that into their grants, set aside funding for underwriting with KBFT.
I just have one request. I've been in discussion with Tony Wakeham Up, and she has we've been discussing different ways, different programs, council, executive direction that we could utilize the radio. And I know she was going to have a discussion with both of you to bring back to senior management so we could have a better understanding of the different types of advertising our programs could do. I think bringing that to senior management would be good, but then also just some written materials to give out to the programs, make sure we really strengthen that effort to have our programs and events use KBFT in the different ways they can do it.
One of the ways I would I'd highlight is just coming up and getting on the air and letting people know what's going on. If you ever listen to other tribal radio stations, you tune into WRLN Red Lake Radio, and they have on the regular, I think it's like from 10 to noon, they have their tribal programs, any organizations within the community that come on, and I mean, they just laud their programs and all the events that they have happening. And I was blown away by the level of planning that they incorporate into their, and I can see why, because, you know, I mean, we're ecstatic when we get 100 people here, but over there, I mean, they're talking thousands. I mean, they're looking at, you know, 3,000 for an event. Now they're looking at 10,000 for an event, and I'm like, what? And so I feel pretty fortunate that, you know, considering our population and our staffing levels, and that's one of the things here is, you know, I would like the community to kind of stress us out on that level, you know, to where they're providing that much information to all of their listeners over there. And it just kind of feeds upon itself where, you know, people are engaging and then people want to come to your events and then they, you know, you'll be fulfilling your mission, we'll be fulfilling our mission. And, you know, that's a lot of synergy that we're talking about there. So I encourage all of the program managers to, you know, to come highlight the activities that they're planning for, you know, the community concerns.
Just to mention that, thinking back when I worked there at the radio stations, that I used to set up cookouts. Like we'd come down here, we don't have a KBFT cookout, and we also put our merchandise out there for sale. So we get we'd get the community to come out and buy a burger and stuff and support the radio station that way. You know, and we also had a cookout in the cook that time at the VFW. So that's something that you guys want to look at bringing back. Thank you.
And I'll add that Shane was our number one, so it was pretty awesome. And so we want to you know, bring it up to Shane, what Shane had provided for us as far as revenue. And then we want to kind of go, of course, beyond that. And I think I don't want to say unlimited potential, but I think we could probably do, I think at your level, we were doing somewhere around 25,000 that we're doing. And right now we're currently probably about 15. And, but we want to definitely get it up. And I think the potential here, and I put it in our budget. I believe we could do around, well, I put it at 30,000 for this year. So and with Tony on board, she's doing a fantastic job with the marketing and engaging with programs. She's reaching out. And so those are the kind of things. And we got some challenges that we have to address, but with everybody's cooperation, I think we'll get there.
All right. Thank you.
Just a couple comments, questions online. Must be from Tony. I'm on leave today. I have knocked on doors asking for local businesses to work with KBFT. And then what George stated is correct. Off-res, they can't hear us. And then Teresa Isham is asking if we have an emergency, you know, such as fire, tornado, etc., on the reservation, can KBFT broadcast remotely, especially if it happens after hours?
That's in the plan that we're talking about for this expansion. We want to create a alternative broadcast site. Randy's prep the tower.
Yes.
Over by the PD over there. So we'll have a little building over there. And if ever there's danger here, we'll be able to broadcast from that area there. And long range, we create that expansion over to Vermilion, and we'll be able to broadcast from that area also.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, moving along to the Independent School District 707 office space lease agreement for KBFT.
Okay. What Jeff was able to review, and it's been some time now, but we've looked at some of the issues that we wanted just to verify with the agreement. And so now we want to come to you guys and present this for approval. And it's basically a space lease for our offices and studios.
has the leasing, has it increased?
The square footage in the previous agreements, there was, they didn't account for some of the space that the Boys and Girls Club had been, that was part of their lease. And
Okay.
when we moved into the studio space that we're at now, that wasn't addressed mainly because of the changes at the school. And so, and the changes there were just, you know, different people being in position. And so, we recalculated the square footage. Randy looked that over and he can comment.
What we found out is the Boys and Girls Club was actually paying for a small amount of square footage that was occupied by KBFT. Since then, we've corrected this with the lease in the school and we're here to present it.
Any questions or concerns from legal on this?
No questions or concerns. I reviewed this a while ago and just added in some additional protections for the rent provisions, liability, insurance related things. So it's all been, this copy you have in front of you incorporates all of those revisions that the school accepted.
Okay. Any concerns from accounting? Tim? Concerns? Any concerns from Dan? Just kidding. Any questions or comments from council?
Just for the motion, please add with signatures because we have to sign this.
Okay. Motion to approve the office space lease with signatures for KBFT. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Moved by Tara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Perry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. We are going to take a brief 10-minute break. So we'll call a recess at 10:39 and we will reconvene in about 10 minutes. Thank you. All right, good morning. Call the meeting back into session at 10:48 a.m. We will continue on with the agenda. We got Kathy Chavez up for discussion on MCT resolution regarding blood quantum, RTC council benefits, and CEO position. You have the floor.
Bonjour, Anin, Minogajeb. Thank you for allowing me to be on the agenda today. I just would like a follow-up or, with regards to some things that have been discussed or been passed. The first thing being the MCT TEC resolution that was passed in January of 2025. And I know the council's been busy and, but I'm just wondering, that resolution was to allow Red Lake blood quantum, if the tribe wants, the tribes can opt in or out with that resolution. If they want to include Red Lake blood quantum under the MCT. And I guess my question is I haven't seen anything on it. I don't know if what Leech Lake brought the resolution forward and all the tribes passed it. And so they contacted Red Lake and were working with Red Lake because they wanted to know the impact that that would have on their enrollment numbers. And so they were the first tribe to pursue that. Now, since then, and I know there's a lot of issues with blood quantum, but because it says Minnesota Chippewa blood and not Minnesota Chippewa tribe blood in the Constitution, that is why Red Lake blood can now be added, because it's Minnesota Chippewa blood. So this can be a change to the enrollment ordinance. But it's up to the tribes to decide. So Leech Lake apparently had already decided to do this. And so what the tribe would need to do is, first of all, say yes or no, probably do some research to see what that impact will be to Bois Fort. Because I know that there's people out there that have Red Lake blood quantum that we haven't counted in the past. And I know I was trying to get confirmation from Lenny Finday this morning, but I haven't heard from him. And we heard that Red Lake, approved everybody to go to full blood. And it's my understanding, now I don't know, this could be wrong, but I'm just going to say it anyway, that when Red Lake and Leech Lake were working on this blood quantum issue, excuse me, I have a cold too. I mean, I'm sniffling and I'm terrible here. But when they got together, they were going to go with the enrollment prior to the full blood being enacted. So it would be their original blood quantum before they put everybody full. Because that was one of the questions. Well, they put everybody full, so what are we how can you do that? But it's prior to that. So I would like to know, and this is just my suggestion, I think it needs to go out to the people to decide if we want to include that Red Lake blood. And this is a change. Actually, it is a change to the enrollment. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, that's a good point. And I had one of our girls look back at the meeting minutes, and I brought this up back on December 18th in 2024, a discussion on adding Red Lake blood to our enrollment, similar to what Leech Lake and White Earth are doing, an interpretation of the MCT Constitution, which you just stated already. And myself, as the District 1 representative and acting chairman, is that I would like to see us proceed forth on that once the elections are done, and look at pursuing that in two different ways. One, does the band membership want to include Red Lake blood in our enrollment? Secondly, prior to the Constitution, MCT and the Constitution, was there Red Lake blood in that family that wasn't counted for that specific reason? Then we got to go back to the rules and say, well, yeah, so-and-so's father was Red Lake, Bois Fort, but their blood wasn't counted. So now we got to fix that, go back and say, well, we got to fix that rule. So then it kind of has an effect after. But yes, I'm in total favor of doing just that. And that's what I would like to see us do as a tribal council is pursue that once the tribal elections are over and sit down with our band membership and say, is this what we want to do? Any other council members, comments, questions, concerns, discussions?
I think a good public meeting for everybody would probably, be a way to go. And, not just Red Lake Blood Quantum being added. I would actually like to speak more on adding First Nations blood into that certain, into just the discussion. I'm not just saying, let's do it. I just would like to add that to the discussion. I know there's many boys for relatives that aren't band members because of a status of living in Canada, or that line divided families between Canada and the US. This imaginary line divided families, and there are certain individuals that cannot be band members because of that line. And I don't understand it. I got cousins that, I know they're my relatives. I I feel they should be band members, but they can't because of this thing that's been in effect. And fixing stuff like that, I just would like it to be considered. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from council? If not, we move on to your second agenda item.
Thank you. The second item is, and this has been a discussion item, and even when I was in office there with you guys, it's always been kind of a very gray area when it comes to the council and employee benefits, right? Or in being under the personnel policy. And so I know past months or years, whatever, we as a council discussed having a separate benefit line item for council members, like annual leave, sick leave, all that stuff that they're eligible for. Because I remember one of the questions when they were doing random drug testing was that are council members subject to random drug testing? That was a question. And the comment was always made, well, we're elected officials and we're not, you were elected officials and you're not employees. So there's that discrepancy between employee and elected official. So I would like to like to see the council come up with a special benefit portion like was discussed previously. But I would also like to have it be put out for a comment period for the band membership, if and when you do that. Just because I think when people are running for office, it's community members and everybody, just so they have an idea of what exactly is going to be, if they want to pursue politics or pursue office, then that way they could know up front what their benefits would be. Because right now it's a gray area, and we've talked a lot about that in the past, and there really needs to be, I think, a definition of what that would be. So that's just that for that item.
I think one thing is, with the benefits, is that one of the changes that was made was regarding the unemployment, is that usually what would happen is that they would basically burn off their annual leave first. Annual leave or whatever leave. And then after that started, then the unemployment would start, which would go like, I think, 13 pay periods. What the tribal council did was said, no, we're going to pay out annual leave. The next day you're off council, pay it out. The clock starts ticking. Your unemployment starts running from the next day on until it's done. And one thing that I asked for was that anything regarding unemployment, pay raises, anything with the council salary, that'd be held out in public view, just like this, in open session like this. So you, the band members, can see what the tribal council is doing for transparency. But I do believe that, yes, we need to get something in place because it's been talked about and talked about. And enough is enough. We need to do something. We need to get something in place, something that mirrors the employee policy. Any comments from council?
I was just gonna say that, Shane, and I've been saying that for quite a while. We do need a council policy that does mirror the employee policy so that the council members know what they can and cannot do. It should be defined in that policy. And then what the benefits are, what they're, what they're allowed, what they're not allowed. That should be cut and dry. Because council members should not be picking and choosing when they want to follow the employee policy and when they don't. And sometimes that is what's happened that I've seen. So we've already put that to our executive director.
Okay.
To go ahead and put that policy in place. It's in the works.
Oh, good.
I would like to just address one question that you brought up is, our tribal council members covered under the drug and alcohol testing policy. When I was the HR director, it was always my interpretation that yes, they are, because under the policy and the definitions, under employee means a person who performs services for compensation in whatever form for the Boys Fort Reservation Tribal Council, and those persons who provide volunteer services as set forth in section 1.003 of the Boys Fort Workers Compensation Plan. So that was always my interpretation that yes, council members are covered under the drug and alcohol testing policy and procedures. Just want to clear that up. Thank you.
Okay. And I've already been randomed, when you guys did your thing or whatever, when I was newly elected. But I wasn't sure if that was because I was an employee, and my name just didn't get taken out of the pool or what. But I just want to make sure, and I'm glad you're bringing this up, and I know we've talked about it. We need that defined and that line. Because I've heard of past council members coming to staff saying, well, that don't apply to me. I'm not an employee.
Yeah.
So, they're again, picking and choosing which policies to follow.
Right.
So having this extremely defined would be good. Thank you.
Just to add on to that is that one of the resolutions that we put in place too is that if one council member goes to an employee and tells them to do this or that, that employee has the right to email the rest of the tribal council and say, is this what the tribal council wants? Because the tribal council member should not be abusing their authority in that manner. And the employees need an avenue to address it so that if a council member is telling you to do something that you don't agree with, the employee should have the right to email the rest of the council without retaliation. Thank you. Anything else from council? If not, then we move on to your third item.
The third item is just, I know that the CEO position was open. Drew was let go. And my question is, are we going to be pursuing another CEO for the businesses?
Yes, a CEO was selected and they are in the process of trying to work out.
Oh, good.
Work it out with the individual that was selected.
Good. That's very good to hear because our businesses are really important. And so it's good to hear that. So thank you.
And I also must commend Brad Annis and our acting CEO on keeping the ship going and watching over the enterprises.
Good. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miigwech.
Up next is Miranda Lilia.
Give me just 1 second to get back to the agenda. So the first item that I have for the council today, this came a request from our tribal ethics committee members. They have had some expenses. They are requesting reimbursement possible reimbursement for their duties under the tribal ethics committee. So what I did is I emailed accounting and asked them for our current policy as well as one that is being revised. So they sent me the revised policy. I went through it, worked with Jeff to present this policy to you. And it's just for reimbursement and administrative costs that would be that the committee would have. I'm asking for this to be effective as of January 1st, 2025, so retroactive to January 1st. This would cover things such as mileage, if they have to have a hotel, because some of our ethics committee members don't live here. And so if they needed to travel to the reservation and it wasn't possible to do, say, virtual types of things, we would have a policy to cover their expenses.
First question for me is, Kim, do we have it in the budget? And if so, where are we taking it out of?
These expenses would have to be paid out of the general fund 810 budget. And there's we budget for an amount in total for travel each year. So their expenses, we don't set aside a special amount for that committee.
And we do have it in the budget,
Yeah,
correct?
there's plenty for that, yes.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns or discussions from council?
I have one quick one. It does say as of 1/1/2023, the mileage reimbursement rates are as follows, blah, 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 blah. Did you say January 1 of 2025?
That would be the effective date of this policy.
Okay.
Yes, Donna?
Good morning again. Just a question, is there the committee posted on the Boys Fort website? Like who is on the ethics committee? No, and then how do you get in contact with them? Because is there an email addresses or, those could be put on the website or how to mail them because I understand if we want to file an ethics complaint, it is regarding tribal council only. It's not for, band members or employees. Just question, how do we get in contact with that committee? If that would be more public information would be appreciated.
So right now, you would be able to contact the executive assistants here at the tribal council or tribal government. And that email address is executiveassistants@boysfort-nsn.gov. The committee is not put on the website, but that is how you would be able to get in contact with them. Contact the executive assistants and then they would assist with that communication.
Okay. And then is that committee, do they have term limits or do they? Okay.
Yes, they do.
All right. Thank you.
Any further discussions or comments? If not, I ask for a motion to approve the policy.
I have one more quick question, sorry. Tribal Ethics Committee travel and policy. Is this only when they have an ethics code violation received from them? Or is this in general? I just want to make sure that that they're not submitting something when we don't have a current ethics code that they're working on. I just don't want it to be violated or anything like that.
So this would be under the general provisions, A, the overview. It would be for reasonable and necessary expenses incurred during approved committee-related travel. So I can't say it would only be if there was a violation, you know, if we had, let's say, a training and we wanted them to travel here, that would be a covered expense.
Okay, I was reading through the policy. Who approves that? Would you be approving that?
Yes, it would be the executive director or me.
Any other questions from council? Discussion? Call for another motion, second motion to approve the policy.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Perry. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next is resolution, Miranda with resolution number 12-2025 Cannabis Regulatory Commission Ordinance Revisions.
So this was submitted by Sadie Whitebird, our director of the Boys Sport. Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Jalen Strong has his hand up. Go ahead, Jalen.
Yeah, I could speak on some of that tribal ethics committee stuff if people are interested. I know it's kind of after the fact and got approved and stuff, but if for people's information. So I basically like the idea was that so we have 6 current like active members and then 4 kind of secondary members that would come in if for whatever reason there was a conflict of interest or something of the matter. 2 of them live in the cities and then 1 of them lives in Duluth. So I think the mileage thing would and the hotel repayment thing would only be for if there was a hearing that would take place. And then there was a question about reimbursement because we have a PO box set up in Net Lake, and there was a fee to set that PO box up. And if we have to send out any certified mail, that has to be, or they were wondering if we could get reimbursement for that. I have the Gmail and PO box down if you want those things. And then I believe like the tribal council appointed who was on the tribal ethics committee. So I don't mind sharing, that I'm one of the 6 active members. I don't think it should be an issue personally to share like who is the active members and who are the secondary members. But I don't know where that falls with like the data privacy or anything like that.
Questions from council? Response?
I would just like to have Kim, could you set up a budget for that? Instead of it coming directly out of 810 every single time. And let's just keep an eye on that. So, because I know that a lot of committees are, they don't get stipends, they don't get other things. It's almost purely voluntary. And I understand the special circumstances here, but when it comes out of 810, you know me, I'm always had a couple of questions on that, and I question when it comes out of 810. So I just do not want it to be, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm opposed to it. I'm not. I just want to watch that very carefully. So it's not, used how it should not be, you know.
Doris?
I just have a comment, maybe a little bit history. I was on the council when we established the first ethics board, and we posted and advertised for committee members. They were volunteer, and the purpose of the committee was to develop the ethics code. And the code was developed and it was published for public comment. And then when it was adopted by the tribal council, every member on that ethics code signed their name to it. And there was a pamphlet made that was available to any band member that wanted to see that. And it was put out in different public places, you know, so people knew what the ethics code was. The purpose of developing that code was for defining policy between, well, actually what it was to keep the tribal council members accountable to the people of the Boys for It band. Prior to that, people who had complaints on different things that the tribal council members did, they had no recourse. The tribal council members did what they did, and there was nothing that could be done about it. The ethics code was developed to address that. And like I said, to make the tribal council accountable and responsible to the Boys for It band members. There was transparency. People knew who was on the ethics code. It wasn't confidential, because this policy, everybody needs to know what's in the policy. It's a public document. Now, I am not on the committee no longer. I was signed up to review it. I was appointed, but I never got notified of any meetings. I'm assuming there was no meetings held to review it. In the meantime, there was a new committee appointed, and I wasn't one of those members. And so I'm not saying this as that I want to know who is on the board, because I don't need to know, but I just want to give a history that why the ethics board was put in place in the first place, and that it is a public document. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that, Doris. You know, we've come a long way with that policy, with that ethics policy code. And I brought this up a while back, that the ethics policy, the ethics code is flawed. And I said that in a few meetings ago, a while back, and that hopefully as we move forward, that we can fix it. And yes, I agree that if it's a public document, it should be made public. I've been asking for these resolutions that pertain to the council to be put on the tribal government website underneath the tribal council. That should be added as well. That ethics policy, so band members will know this pertains to the tribal council. Thank you. Any questions, comments, or further discussions from council? If not, then we move on. Now, can we move on to resolution cannabis regulatory?
Just one quick comment about the Code of Ethics. Yes, it is on the website. That policy is on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item that I have for council is a resolution submitted by Sadie Whitebird, our cannabis. Sorry, what? Cannabis Regulatory Commission. And this is a resolution proposing revisions to the Boys for It Cannabis Regulatory Ordinance, approving adoption of Chapter 8, Product Recall, and approving revisions to the Boys for It Cannabis regulations.
And I'm pretty sure there's no concerns from Jeff, because he's probably the one who wrote this.
Yeah, I worked with Sadie to put this together. This is kind of just for a little bit of background too. I think Sadie's mentioned this, that, you know, when the council initially adopted the first set of cannabis regulations, there's a lot of material, you know, over 100 pages of regulations. So we knew that as they were put into practice, there would be tweaks and things that needed to be, you know, revised over time just to make sure that they were working well. This sort of set of revisions is what I sort of call like the phase one revisions to the regulations. They also tweak the cannabis employee license background requirement, which I believe Sadie discussed with the council in March and had come up with a proposal. And then make some tweaks here and there to small pieces of the regulations, in addition to adopting a new chapter related to product recall to ensure the safety of products. And so I suspect there might be a phase two revision down the line at some point as well that might add a new regulatory chapter here and there. But that's what this set of revisions essentially entails.
Thank you, Jeff. Any comments or discussions from council? Any concerns? If not, I ask for a motion to approve resolution number 12-2025 Cannabis Regulatory Commission Ordinance Revisions. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Perry. Is there a second? Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next, we got Donna Hopper. You have the floor.
Good morning. Again, Donna Hoffer, Boys Fort band member. I presented to you a letter on behalf of 4 band members have signed this letter. And what we are requesting is that the Boys Fort Tribal Council hold a public meeting to provide an update on the financial status and the performance of Boys Fort or of Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, as well as the other tribal entities, enterprises. So as you can see, we believe that such a meeting would strengthen our community engagement, reinforce goods governance, and demonstrate our collective commitment to sustainable development and reasonable stewardship of all tribal assets. So we want to thank you for your time and consideration in this, and if you would notify me, we don't have a date in here. We don't have a, so that's kind of up to you guys, but we would like a public meeting for band members to hear how our enterprises are doing. And also to, make that, I guess, we feel that there's just no financial accountability. Like we're in 2018, there was a report, actually it was 2019, the report was on the Fortune Bay distribution report and where the money was going. And since then, we haven't had any, financial report of any kind of how the businesses are doing. And so I know, Shane, you mentioned earlier about developing a reserve for Fortune Bay, which most definitely, yes, concur with that. So that's what we're requesting.
Yes, totally agree with that. That's a very good point. That we do as a council, whether it be this council or the future councils, have these open meetings with the band membership so they can see how the businesses are doing. And that we make it by resolution that it has to happen. Jeff, if you could start working on that resolution to make this a permanent thing, that ongoing thing, that the council will hold meetings like this to update the band memberships about our businesses.
Sure.
And yes, I think that we should look at holding a meeting. We need to look at when we can hold it. Do we want to wait until after the elections is done, then hold it? Or do we want to hold it before?
I think
Sure.
that would be council
Pete.
preference.
What?
Whatever council prefers.
Okay. Pete, you got a question?
Yeah, I just got a response. We have a state of the band address. My name is Peter Drifton. 3 of the council members didn't speak at the state of the band address. That just blows my mind that we can come up here and ask for a committee to see where we're at when we have state of the band, and that's when every band member can come up and see where we're at. But that's just my thoughts on it. Thank you again, Pete Drift, Senior Bushwood Band Member Elder.
Comments, questions, or discussions from council?
Yes, for me, I just want to say I've been in office for 10 months. Everything that I do, I report it, I memorize it. When I went to Washington, D.C., my report, I came back with a full-fledged report. I'm the one in MCT history that publicly released all the tribal council salaries. I shotgunned it on Facebook. And ever since I have done that, there's a core group of people that have been coming after me because I affected their money and their salaries. So when you guys speak on transparency and business openness, just keep in mind that every single sitting member on this council faces backlash and retaliation for the choices that we make. I turned down a $48,000 raise 2 months into office, and I did that for all of you. 54% of the band members live in poverty. They're poor. Our businesses might not be living up to standard or par. So keep in mind that everything that we do, no matter how transparent it is or how open it is, these decisions, it's good, bad, and it's ugly at the same time. That's why I brought my feather with me, because I do realize that there's some people in this audience that have it out for me. And at the end of the day, I know I'm a good person. I know I have this tribe's best interests at heart always. Because if I didn't, I'd be making selfish decisions ever since I got on board. But you have my word, band members, that I will protect these assets and everything, our money, like it's my own. But it's not my own, it's yours. It's our money, our assets. This tribal council was elected by people who support us. So keep it coming.
Any other questions, comments, or discussions from council?
Just a quick reminder too, not only the enterprises are that any band member is allowed to come and view financials for the RTG. You know that, Donna. And we're developing a more succinct way of doing it rather than just randomly getting an email. So it can go on record, and so we can provide those documents. And there isn't any waiting, a huge, long waiting period. So we're developing a better way to be transparent financially. Which. So thank you, Donna.
Thank you, council. Look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, thank you. Miranda, I think that we probably should look at doing this before, if we can fit this in May sometime. See if we can get this, or when is it? No, June. Sorry. If we can look at June sometime, and if we can get this done.
Yeah, I'll work with Nikki and Regina. We'll find time in council's calendar, and we will get it set up with a few weeks time to allow communication out to the band membership.
And then I think that we need to look at where we can hold it, if we can hold it here, or if we have to hold it at Fortune Bay. And start getting this worked out and planned. And then also if we can nail down a date and time, start getting that out to the membership so that they're well prepared, so they know at least a month in advance that, hey, we got a big special meeting coming up regarding our financial businesses.
Okay, if you would like a month notice in advance, it would have to be very close to the end of June or early July then.
Early July?
Yeah, so if you want to say we're going to give a 2 or 3 week notice of this meeting, that would be doable in June. We may not be able to get a month notice for a meeting in June.
Is council comfortable with doing something in July? Robert?
I think something can be done, by July and, I'd be fine with that. And I like the idea of this resolution making this more reoccurring and stuff. So I'm all for any decision, whether it be, a month or 2 months. I'd like to see this happen.
July should be fine with me. I just want to make sure that if we're including a new chair when that person comes aboard, or if we're going to do it before that person takes takes the office. Because they're going to be, boom, that's one of the big things that they're going to have to address right away. So I just want to make sure that we're defining that.
Okay. Are you fine with July, Perry?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you, Donna. You have a question? Lance?
Oh, yeah. No, I was sitting here waiting. Later on, is there going to be a discussion towards the District 1 representative? The reason why I asked is, as I was sitting here, he welcomed me. He said he made the comment in motion to the podium. If you have something to say, go say it now. So is there going to be a time for that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, no public discussion.
Council, do
Okay.
you want to weigh in on it? It's not just me, it's you, the rest of the council. What do you think?
On the agenda, I have here saying Perry discussion, then Perry censure. I don't know what entails with Perry discussion. Is that just him discussing?
Okay.
Oh, I was just asking the question because the comment made to me was, if you have something to say, go up there and say it now. And then stepped off and had a discussion with his father. I understand. I'm not sure what took place. So I just want to let you guys know.
Okay.
I'm not here at work. I'm on annual leave. So when you're trying to talk down to me and trying to intimidate or whatever it is, you're just doing that to a person that actually voted for you. So is it easy enough to get the recording of this? Because, I have more to say, but I don't want to interrupt the meeting.
Everything to add, Tara?
Oh, no, I was just gonna say that you weren't here when we approved the agenda, so that is an agenda item, is the censure.
Okay. Yeah, well, is it common for that discussion to take place what the District 1 did? Doesn't seem common. I don't come to a lot of these, but that seemed like a direct challenge and invitation to discuss an item that's later on in the agenda, as mentioned.
I don't think we're gonna open Q&A for that. I mean, it's just a censure. But we'll see what the chair does when we get to it, I suppose.
Yeah, I understand that it's a censure and other things, but you welcome me to make some comments. But I will gladly wait. All right. Well, I understand that it's going to be a little later in the agenda, but I will make the comment. The on May 2nd, Tribal Council made a statement and their words alluded to that they've seen the evidence, that's not available to the general public. So that tells me that an investigation took place. That tells me that you've seen all the evidence. That also tells me that you guys come to a conclusion. I'm seeing a censure. I'm not seeing anything about removal. April 2nd, April 12th, excuse me, District 1 rep made a comment that he would respect any investigation and actions. So I guess, are we going to follow through with these words? You've seen everything, you've heard it, you as well. You mentioned that you would respect the vote. So I understand Facebook is not an official action, but I'm watching to see if you guys are going to follow through with your language. That's all I got. I do have more to say, but I will calm down.
Thank you, Lance. You have something to add, Pete?
Yeah, I just want to add that, Mr. Hill has been part of this, this article, Boys Fort Ethics Committee. And he should understand that what it says in the wording of it. Him pointing at me saying like, I got something to do about it, is not. What I'd like to read is something. Okay, what the violation is about is not about the thing at Fortune Bay, because you can't. I read article, you thoroughly looked at your Boys Fort Ethics Committee bylaws, and I also looked at Article 10 of the Constitution. And you guys know there's nothing in there that can constitute a removal. Okay. What I kind of put in is a report. There's been a lot of talk about my son Perry and the incident that occurred at Fortune Bay, and there has been many people requesting that he resign. I'm not condoning or excusing what occurred, and I would like to say he recognized his mistake and sought professional help for his addiction. He has always had Boys Fort's best interest at heart and will continue to do so. We are all human and make mistakes. If anyone here can show me a person that is perfect, I would like to meet them and shake his or her hand. But realistically, everyone has a past. Barry has been in office for roughly 10 months. His major achievement was assisting with the cannabis dispensary finally being open for business. It was Perry's contacts that assisted in getting this business up and running. There has been prior council members that have committed serious criminal offenses and continue to serve on this council. Believe me, I worked for Boys Fort Police Department for 23 years. I know all of these incidences, not only council members, but directors and employees too. I am not here to point fingers or blame. I'm here just to remind everyone that we all make mistakes and most of us learn from them. Imagine if those of us made mistakes, we're not given a second chance to prove ourselves. Let's turn our back on jealousy and hatred and focus on helping our band membership on and off the reservation. Chimigwech Ogama, thank you leaders for allowing me to speak. Again, my name is Peter Sr., Boys Fort Tribal Elder, former Boys Fort Chief of Police. Chimigwech.
Thank you for that. We're not on that topic, so I think that we're going to move on with the agenda.
I do have to just add some corrections. I'm not on the Tribal Ethics Committee. I was on a steering committee that had revised it back in the 2018 era. So I don't, there's multiple statements that are just not accurate. So yes, we can get to that topic, but I would hope as a band member and concerned voter that it is open for discussion.
Thank you. What's next on the agenda, Miranda?
It is the discussion on the Eagle staff.
Oh, okay. Actually, I didn't want this on the meeting agenda itself. I was asking for a meeting just in general so that we could meet with the band memberships regarding the Eagle staff that they were talking about. And it wouldn't be the tribal council that would be making any decisions on the Eagle staff. The tribal council would be just facilitating a meeting to listen to what needs to be done with this Eagle staff and what they want done with it. And I know that they were looking for somebody to basically be the keeper of it, if you will, to oversee it. I think that if we could set something up with that, with some of with our elders and our power committee and anybody else that has a interest in this Eagle staff and who's going to care for it and who's going to fix it and all that.
Okay, we can get that set up. Again, we'll get the information out to the community, the band members, invite the elders and the powwow committee and anyone else who would like to attend that. So yes.
Yes. All right, then my other item that I asked for was we knew that we met yesterday, and I called for a financial meeting a while back, and it was just to discuss the tribal government, the tribal businesses in Fortune Bay, and we had that meeting yesterday, along with the budget meeting that afternoon, and one thing that I've been pushing for ever since I got on council was to build an official reserve, financial reserve for our casino moving forward. And that we are looking at planning more meetings, financial meetings, budget meetings with Fortune Bay and tribal council and tribal government. And we need to put something in place. We can't keep saying, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And there needs to be action done. We need a resolution. If we need to put a resolution in place, then let's do that. Any comments, questions, or discussions from council? If no comments, questions, or from discussions from council, we move on to the next item. Which is the, I think the Perry discussion.
Ashki Minasin sa, ako na do them. Speak with Nezagan and Dunjaba. So I just want to say a few words. I'm looking right at the camera right now, that so people can see how serious this is. That prior to April 11th, I was an undiagnosed alcoholic. My addiction ran rampant for years. It started when I was 20. You're just now seeing it now because when I became an elected official, any bit of the personal life that I had was out the window. I would never drink during work hours. It was always after work, and I was drinking heavily about 6 days out of the week. I wasn't drinking 7 days out of the week because I was so hungover and sick that I could barely get out of bed. And so fast forward to April 11th, the incident at Fortune Bay, when I was completely and utterly intoxicated out of my mind. I don't recall a lot of the things that were said or done because I was so blacked out drunk and intoxicated, and that doesn't excuse it or condone it. But I did realize that I needed help for my addiction and my struggling. As of right now, I'm 40 days sober. My last drink of alcohol was on April 11th, 2025. And alcoholism does classify as a disease, federal laws. That's why the FMLA, when I used FMLA, that wasn't a vacation. That wasn't me using annual leave. I was using my leave to cover my FMLA leave of absence, which is a medical reason, and I have all documentation. I graduated from Range Treatment Center on May 15th, 2025. It's a 28-day treatment for drugs and alcohol. And I just have to say to the band members and to any concerned staff, employee, or other council that I apologize for any action or any shame that I may have brought upon myself or this tribe, but I did go and get help. And if there's any of you out there that are struggling with addiction or a disease of addiction, it's not just alcohol, it's other stuff. It's fentanyl, it's meth, it's heroin, it's cocaine. My drug of choice was alcohol. That was the only thing that I abused. And I recognized that I did have a problem and I did go get help. Currently I'm on a program where I have to do AA once a week, and they talked about the tribal council policy with drug and alcohol testing. I'm all for being breathalyzed each week I come in here because that's my drug of choice. Alcohol. I do have an addiction. And if any of you in this audience or listening have anybody, family member in need of this addiction, it's real. It damages lives. It damages all of us, those around us, makes us do things that we don't normally do. But to the people of Bois Forte, to this tribe, to this tribal council, I just want to say that I apologize. And that's all. Mio.
Thank you, Perry. I know it takes a lot to do that, to admit that, and to stand up and publicly say that. And congratulations on your going to treatment and starting to work on that. I know what that's like. Myself, I've done 32 years alcohol and drug free. I know what you're talking about, and thank you for that. Very much. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Yeah, hey, I know that, I know recovery a little bit about it myself there. I don't tend to brag about it, but it has changed my life. Those who know me know the changes. So it's a personal journey. I commend you for starting it. It's for the rest of your life. Now, I can't talk to you in your situation. I was speaking to your public office and you're always on duty. Now, but as far as recovery, I don't gain anything from it other than a great life. There's no official action. It doesn't get me out of trouble. So now what I'm going to say is it was told to me it works. I'm not saying it's you. Everybody prays to whatever they pray to. Spirituality is a great part of it. Now they talk about body and spirit. Now, let's not worry about definitions, but body is my actions. Spirit is my thinking. Now, my actions are guided by my thinking. My thinking is guided by my values. So I got to repair my spirit in order to stay sober. Now, look at what your actions are. They are guided by your thinking, which are guided by your values. Did you fix that? When you made your approach to me, that was aggressive. I don't see a change, but I also understand that you're attempting to change.
Lance, I simply walked up to you and asked you if you've had anything to say. It's not my fault as a man that you feel intimidated by me. It's not, are you intimidated by me? Do I scare you?
No, not at all.
So why did you make those intimidating comments that I walked up to you to intimidate you? I didn't. It was a simple question, man to man.
I can read tone. In my opinion, that was the attempt.
All right, pulling this meeting back into order. Calling the meeting back into order. With that, we are going to move on. Nope. We're moving on.
To answer your question, Squidge, I'll just publicly say it. They banned me for life from Fortune Bay. So I did not walk away from this unscathed. In my discussion, I'll never, I didn't add it, I'm sorry. But no, I really pissed off this council. So don't anybody think that and I would love to see that, Squidge. I really would. Thank you. Thank you for your words, brother. Thank you.
All right, moving on. Up next, we got Robert.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to formally censure RTC District 1 Representative Perry Drift for his actions that occurred on April 11th and 12th, if it was later, I don't know the exact times, at Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, which included damage to property, abuse of power and authority, and making serious threats to Boys Fort band members and guests through gestures and statements, all of which has eroded public trust in the tribal council, damaged the reputation of the tribal council and the Boys Fort band, undermined the tribal traditions and values, and inflicted fear among guests and staff of Fortune Bay. The censure shall be posted in public places on Boys Fort Reservation and on the tribal government's official social media outlets. Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor made by District 2 Representative Robert Moyer. You just heard him read his reasoning for the censorship. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye.
Opposed.
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
One opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Jeff, if you could work up on that statement and circulate it to the council for review.
Okay.
And then work with Miranda on that and then inform the council every step of the way.
Yep, I'll coordinate with Miranda.
If no further discussions, comments, or questions, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I have some. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of discussion. I have said to the council how concerning this was for me. I still have many unanswered questions that I have formally posed to the council. I seconded this motion because it needs to happen. And when you commented that you pissed off council, I wouldn't word it that way. I was hurt. I did express to Shane how hurt I was. I was embarrassed and I was shocked because I didn't think anything like that would happen. This isn't an easy thing to do. I don't think anybody is applauding or cheering for this. So these notions of this person or that person is out to get anybody is wrong. This family or that family is out to get each other is not the case.
I didn't use family. I said a group of people.
No, I'm saying from what I heard from many community members, not just you and not just here tonight or today. So I'd like that said. This is not an easy thing to do. And this isn't for the council. And this isn't for any certain person. This is for the band membership. This is what is right for the band members and the employees of Fortune Bay Enterprises and Reservation Tribal Government. Our community members. So that's what this is for. It's not for anybody else's certain gain. And it does not come out of jealousy or hatred. Which,
Any other questions or comments from council?
I just have a question, I guess, basically on the voting. When it involves one of the council members, can they vote? Oh, they can. Okay, that's all I have to say on that. And thanks for the opportunity. I just want to say, you know, I know this isn't easy for any of us in this room. My advice, I guess, is just acceptance is our greatest challenge. And being humble sometimes is also a very good character. And what I witnessed today is kind of sad in a way, because we're supposed to be healing if we're truly have found, you know, our spirits and our higher power. We're supposed to be, you know, humble and ask for that forgiveness. And sometimes we do it in quiet and peace and by ourselves, and not with what some people say intimidation. And was that intimidation? I didn't see what happened. I was looking at Tara, but you know, it is disheartening that we are here today, but we got to remember it wasn't our choices to do that. It was, you know, one particular incident. And then the policies and procedures and the bylaws and the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe Constitution, you know, govern us. And sometimes we don't always agree with what those policies or guidelines are, you know, state, but we have to accept them and we have to, you know, make some hard decisions. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for that. You know, yes, I agree with Tara that this is not easy. This is very difficult. You know, and hopefully we can continue to try and move forward as a community, as a reservation, as a people. I know we have our differences. We have our grudges. It's always this side or that side. Always has been, always will be. Unless we change that as a people. You know, and as we move forward, I hope that we can continue to try and do better and be kind to each other. As I know after this meeting is done, there's going to be people that are going to be celebrating. It's a given. There's going to be people that are going to say, well, how come it didn't happen back then when this happened back to that council member? I know that. That's going to happen. And hopefully as we move forward that, you know, to be kind to each other. This isn't easy. It's not. Not at all. Thank you. With that being said, I'm asked for a motion to adjourn at 11:57. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Robert. Is there a
Wait.
second?
Sorry, Jay. I think we have a question from one of the band members. Ashley, looks like.
Go ahead, Ashley. Ashley, if you're speaking, you're muted. You'll need to unmute yourself.
Oh, hello?
We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Hi, sorry about that. I would just wanted to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. I just had a quick question. I know I've been popping in and out of this meeting all morning, but maybe if we could go over what the censorship means again, maybe that might help clear up what exactly the censorship is.
Jeff, could you maybe give another answer for that, please?
Yeah, I can try to do that. So the censorship that Robert moved that was adopted is a RTC censorship that comes from the council, is approved by the council. Basically, it's a motion, no different from any other motion made by the RTC that's then adopted. And it's basically a public reprimand of certain actions. I believe Robert's motion had a public notice reference in it as well. So that motion will be publicly posted. It does not result in any remedies or penalties or any specific actions as a result of it, right? So the person subject to it, Harry, does not have any RTC official duties impacted by the censorship. It's just essentially a public reprimand via a motion by the RTC. It is not a petition for removal or recall. That is a separate process under the MCT Constitution under Article 10. So I think that's important to clarify as well.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Robert made asked for a motion to adjourn. Robert made the motion. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second to adjourn at 12 p.m. All in favor, say aye.
Neen.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody.